Well, hey, if you guys can turn your, if anybody can turn the camera on, I definitely encourage it. I love it. I know not everybody in this call right now is in the program officially in Market the Mission, but I know some of you that are in my program, you guys are here today. So shout out to you guys. But really quick, as we wait a couple more minutes in the chat box, if you can go ahead and put in like where you're calling in from, that'd be awesome. I know that people are coming in from all over states, even countries even. So go ahead and put in the chat box. I want to see where everyone's coming in from. Nimi, it's so good to see you. Anthony, thanks for turning your camera on. But yeah, go ahead and put in the chat box where you're dialing in from, what part of the country you're at. I would love to see it. I am currently in Orange County, California. Let's see. So we got Orange County. Yeah, Nimi, let's go. Redlands, California. Yeah, Redlands, California, Orange County, California, Providence, Rhode Island. Nice. Okay, I've never been. Northern Virginia, Boston. Oh yeah, Omema, I've been. Oh yeah, Omema, what's up, Omema? I've been to Boston before. Riley, North Carolina. Interestingly enough, I keep hearing about Riley, North Carolina in terms of like real estate. Like apparently that's a really good place to buy real estate. I don't know. Random fact. I keep hearing about it though. Louisiana. Nice. I wonder what part of Louisiana you're at. Safa is saying Manchester, United Kingdom. Very cool. Middle of the night here. Well, I appreciate you dialing in, Safa. Let's see. Okay, we got some other stuff. There's a couple Orange County here, Chicago, all kinds of places. Okay, cool place. LA, New Jersey, all kinds of places. Awesome. Well, let me go ahead and you guys know why you're here today. This is the 2026 medical school admission State of the Union, and this is a free workshop I'm doing today. You guys know I don't do a lot of free workshops. A lot of my workshops are very low cost, but rarely will do a free workshop. And I wanted to put this together because like we're in a new landscape. We are going into the age of AI. I know many of you feel it right now. I know many of you maybe have some feelings around it, don't know what to expect. And so I'm hoping today after this workshop that we're going to probably get through in maybe like an hour and a half, that you are going to have your nerves are going to be quelled and that you're going to have a clearer vision on what to expect and how you need to approach the medical school application process, whether you're going into medical school or I know maybe some of you, a very small minority, might be applying to PA school, which is super cool too. All right. So with that said, let me go ahead and let me share my screen real quick. Give me a minute. Okay. While I do that though, while that's getting fired up, I think most people in here are going to be medical school. So, all right. So this is sharing right now. Can you guys give me a thumb up really quick if you can see that? Yeah, awesome. Cool. Thank you. Okay. So, all right. So here's me. Meet the team. Okay. So the team is basically me. I am the team of Market the Mission of this program. I've been doing this for 5 years. I love what I do. I'm super passionate about mentorship. And honestly, I'm living my dream right now. This is exactly what I love to do. I get so fired up about it. This top left corner right here is actually, it's me when I first got accepted to medical school in 2019. I was on the campus actually of UC Irvine, the school that I go to right now. And my mom helped me move in. So that was during the COVID pandemic. You can see my mask is right there. In the picture right next to it, that was actually me over the past summer. I got a concha shell lodged in my hand and I had to go to urgent care and have them excise it. It was pretty bloody. It was pretty disturbing. But yeah, cool story, I guess. Cool experience. I like to take naps. This was me in the summertime as well. I took a nap in the park across the street from my house. And then I'm really big into boxing. I've been boxing for like almost 4 years now. I love doing that. I have my first like amateur match in April, which I'm really excited about. And this was me down here in San Francisco a few weeks ago. And I'm big into community too. You guys can see these couple right pictures over here. I love my friend groups. I love my family. I love going to do things. And yeah, and I'm an avid reader too. So that's just like a little bit about me. A lot of my applicants that I work with right now, they know all these little interesting facts about me, and I know a lot about them as well, because this program that I've created, it's very intimate in the sense that I work with a lot of people, but I get to know so many of my applicants so well, and I know their stories, and a lot of their stories just like wrecks me. It just like brings me to tears sometimes, some of the things that I've had the honor of hearing and navigating folks with. So again, it's just a part of why I do what I do. Okay, let me go to the next screen here. All right, so just to kind of give an agenda of things here, an agenda. So just to set some expectations, we're going to talk about the new reality of the med school landscape. That's going to take like 10 minutes. We're going to talk about why the About You essay falls flat. And I'm going to give you some tools on what not to do, basically, and what to do in your writing, especially in the age of AI. We're going to talk about we're going to do a little mini exercise as well. It's called finding your mission threads. This is going to be very helpful for you. And then we're also going to talk about AI in your app and use it without losing your voice. Okay. And then last thing, but not least here, it's going to be like a sneak peek how I'm coaching my 2026 applicants. Here is the point where I'm going to sell you on something. I'm not going to sugarcoat it, period. At this point, you can leave. Feel free to leave. It's all good. I'm hoping that you got some really good value from the first points that we talked about. But once we get here, you're all good. You can totally take off. But if you want to learn about like what I'm doing in my program for my 2026 applicants and potentially you, stick around and I'll just kind of like let you know on some details. And then finally, we're going to wrap it up with some questions and answers. So if anybody has lingering questions, which I'm sure many of you will have questions after this, this is going to be the time to talk about it. Okay. All right. So I'm excited. I'm excited. I'm excited about this workshop. I'm so excited. I'm actually kind of nervous. I'm not going to lie. Okay. So really what today is not about. Okay. And I'm looking on dual screens right now. But today is not about tactics, okay? I'm not going to give you some gimmicky tactics that you need to apply and you need to do and all your problems are going to go away and you're going to get med school. That's not what this is about. It's about understanding the environment we're currently in and operating within it. Seriously, like we're in a changing landscape and you need to understand things. It's about giving you clarity on the shift that's already happened, okay? This is not happening right now. It's already happened, okay? And I'm not here to hype anything. Okay. I'm not here to like, do this, bro, and you're going to get into med school. No, I'm not doing that. And I'm not here to put scare tactics or instill fear into you. And I'm not here to guess where things are going. I have a clear understanding of the trajectory of things based on my expertise in this field, and I can see where we're headed. Okay. So, all right. I want some participation here in the chat box, and you can put in, I want you to put either, there's 6 things here, there's 6 ideas here, or beliefs or things that have gone through your head. And I want you to put in a number that corresponds to if you have felt this before. Okay. So I'm going to read off some things here, and I want to see if you, and just be honest, because I can personally say that when I was applying to med school, I felt most of these things. And I know that a lot of my applicants do feel a lot of these things. And I know people in the field feel these things. I've done everything right, shadowing, volunteering, research, but it still feels like it's not enough. I have no idea how to market my story. I just list what I've done and hope it convinces adcoms. Or maybe you think I'm second guessing everything, my GPA, my MCAT, even if I should apply. Or I'm rewriting the same sentences 12 times, chasing the perfect essay that never feels good enough. Or other people with worse stats are getting more interviews, and I'm confused and low-key panicking. And the last one here is I doom scroll Reddit and Student Doctor Network and walk away feeling worse every time. Now, just be honest with yourself. Like, I would like to see in the chat box, how many of these do people feel? Like, seriously, like I could honestly feel most of these, especially that last one, where I would compare myself over and over again. And it's even worse in like today. Now we have social media, because when I applied to medical school in 2019, like, yeah, Instagram was a thing and Medfluencers were a thing, but I feel now more than ever, people are being more transparent with their stuff. And they'll say things like, I had a low GPA and I still got into med school. And then you're like, well, what was your GPA? And they're like, it was a 3.78. And it's like, that's not really a low GPA, bro. And if you're considering that low, I'm cooked, right? My GPA was a 3.39. I was academically dismissed from my school, from college. So that, and right. So that's my low GPA, right? So it's normal that you feel these things because everybody does. Okay. And in the age of AI right now, this with the changing landscape, as we're going to talk about right now, is that these things might be exacerbated. These things might feel different for you. Maybe they feel easier for you to navigate. Maybe they feel harder for you to navigate. I don't know. But things are changing. So this is the new reality, right? The new reality is that you can feel the shift. You know that we're in an age of AI. You know things have changed for you, right? because AI has touched every single part of our lives right now. There's AI in your studies, in your study taking resources. There's AI in your phones. There's AI in apps. There's AI on your email templates. Most of you are using AI every single day. It's ingrained in your everyday life. Why are we not? And of course, it's ingrained in your medical school application process. It's here. It's been here, right? And so the AAMC actually published in January of this year, that we're going to talk about right now, that schools like, let me click on here. Here it is. Yeah, the AAMC published a piece in January this year. Schools like Hofstra, NYU Grossman, GW, and Cincinnati are, check this out, actively piloting or already using AI systems to screen primary applications. Okay. Now, some of you right now, I don't want you to panic, right? I definitely don't want you to panic, but I want you to, this is a teaching moment for all of us. This is an awareness that we can reframe this. Instead of panicking and saying, man, oh my gosh, they're using it to screen my primary application, Alejandro? Yes, they are, but let's reframe the mind. This is not something to fear. If anything, it can actually work for you if you understand how this game works. Let me repeat that. This can work for you if you understand how this game works. I am a big advocate on, and a lot of my applicants have heard me say this many, many, many times. You can either be a chess piece, like the majority of pre-meds out there. You can be a chess piece and be a victim, or you can learn how to be a chess player. It's your call. Let me repeat it. You can stay and be a chess piece if you want, or you can learn to be a chess player. I am a big proponent on advocating and empowering you to become a chess player. Even if you don't work with me, even through this workshop, if you're getting right now, I want to instill something in your mind right now. Okay. So how do we do that? Well, let's break it down. Okay. The key takeaway is AI systems, they don't randomly sort applications. Okay. They're trained by humans. AI is trained by humans. Okay. Get that in your head right now. So all these medical schools that are using AI systems to screen your applications are trained and engineered by humans. Okay. Humans with values, priorities, and a mission that reflects that specific school. Okay. So when Hofstra and NYU and all these Cincinnati is using AI to screen applicants, their primary applications, to recommend you for an interview invite, it's basing those recommendations, that criteria, on how well your app matches what they've historically valued in the past, what their mission is, and what it will continue to be. Okay? And that's actually a good thing, because it means your job as an applicant is no longer to impress random reviewers, random admissions committees. Your application hits the desk of an admissions committee member at one of these schools, at any school. You no longer have to worry about, oh my gosh, is this person having a bad day? Did they just come from clinic and a patient screamed at them? Or am I like number 15 application that they're reviewing? Is my personal statement like number 7 that they're reviewing and they're just tired and torn up about all these terrible personal statements? Am I that person? Did I get the bad end of the stick? There is luck. Applications in medical schools, there is a component of luck. I tell my applicants all the time, there's a degree of luck in your medical school application, and that's it. Maybe you just drew the bad end of the stick, right? So AI now, actually, again, reframing your mind, screening primary applications that are based on human priorities, values, beliefs, and mission fit. If it's screening for those things, then now your job is to align your application authentically with schools that already have the same values as you do. They value the things that you bring to the table. That's your job. Your job is actually speak more authentically about yourself. Does this make sense? Can I get a thumbs up if people are tracking right now? I know we're getting deep into the weeds right now, but this is something super critical. Before we move on to the next slide, AI can recognize alignment, mission, beliefs, priorities, values, all those things we just talked about. It can do that. But it can't fake soul. It can't fake soul. It can't fake human. That still comes from you. And now more than ever, reflectivity is more important than ever. How you process things, the meaning that you took from a memory, the meaning that you took from a story, an experience that happened to you is more important than ever. Your reflections, right? So we're going to leverage GPT to your advantage. We're going to leverage AI to your advantage. And by the way, side note here, you might be thinking right now, like with AI moving forward, admissions committees and medical schools, there is talk that these things like Casper, AAMC preview, there's a couple other ones like Duet out there, like these situational judgment tests, these SJTs, they actually might become more important than ever now moving forward because they want to see how applicants react given real scenarios, right? They're going to be using AI to predict applicant behavior moving forward. That's my prediction, right? We can also think about it this way, like with AI now, let me adjust my chair here real quick. Just something that kind of came to my mind is that AI might increase the number of applications that apply to medical schools because people are relying on GPT, people are relying on Claude, people are relying on all these things to pump out essays and things faster and at a higher rate. Maybe that opens the door for you to apply to more medical schools. But the barricade there is cost, right? It costs a lot of money to apply to medical school. So it's like, I'm just curious to see how that balances out. That's a side note. All right. I don't want to get off track too much. What this means for you. Okay. Again, this is a good thing. This is a good thing if you're tracking with me right now. All right. It's good news for applicants who know their mission, who can communicate it clearly and actually research schools deeply, right? Because if your values align, AI could flag you sooner as opposed to screening you out. Okay. This is the idea we need to leverage moving forward, right? If we know what adcoms are looking for, we can speak authentically to ourselves, to our story, and we can actually follow me on this, okay? Pay attention. We optimize our medical school list. This means we are no longer creating medical school lists that are just shotgunning out 60 medical schools based on the MSAR, which is showing median MCAT and GPAs. And we're saying to ourselves, I think I got a shot there because I'm in the 10th percentile, I'm in the 21st percentile. That's a terrible way to create a medical school list in the first place. All my applicants know that. But now we can actually optimize our medical school list, given what we know about the school themselves, about our own application and our own mission, and we can be extremely strategic so that we have the highest odds of getting past that first screener, the AI screener, and we get into the hands of a human. Okay? So if you know your mission and you optimize your school list, you bypass that first screening stage and you get into the hands of a human. The stakes are too high. Some of you are saying right now, Alejandro, how do I know I get a human to review my applicant? I can tell you right now, medical schools, the stakes are too high for admissions committees to put the decision-making entirely in the hands of AI. The stakes are too high. And we know that AI is biased. Okay? They're using it right now as a primary screener. Some medical schools, and I expect most medical schools moving forward will do the same. Okay? So, all right. Don't just take it from me, right? I'm a talking head over here right now. Here's the proof. You can go to the AAMC.org. This article is published on January 21st. It's huge. And it says here, let me just read it for you. It says, you download thousands of applications and train the system on what you're looking for. Says this person at GW, School of Medicine, basically. If I tell the system, hey, I want you to look for service, volunteer, work, public health, the system needs to learn, the system being AI, the system needs to learn how to identify the experiences section of the application. It takes inputting years of applications for the system to learn how to identify what you're looking for. If this little excerpt right there was in a sea of text, and I can promise you most pre-meds didn't read this article. But you, the person sitting here today, watching this at 5:30, 5:52 p.m. on a Tuesday afternoon, or almost 10 o'clock, or almost the middle of the night in the UK. You watching this right now, now you know this. They're literally telling you, and this is straight from admissions committee's mouth at George Washington, we are looking for certain things, and we are programming our AI to detect these things. And if they're not there in the application, we are screening them out. I don't know how much more clear this gets for you. They go on to say, a neuroradiologist in New York and a consultant of AI for the Zucker School of Medicine explains how if you give AI a certain set of inputs, it's always going to give you the same outputs, no matter what time of day, no matter how it's feeling. If you didn't have a high clinical workload that day, it's not tired. This is a good thing for you. This is a very good thing for you. Because again, like I said 5 minutes ago, you don't have to worry about your application getting in the hands of some crusty adcom who got yelled at by their patient. Now we've reduced the bias in your favor. Super good stuff. I encourage you guys all to read that article, by the way. So, whoops. In 2026, the biggest risk isn't having the right stats. That's not what the biggest risk is. It's not. Get that out of your head. It's not understanding how to leverage your story and market yourself effectively. That is the biggest risk. It's the biggest risk right now. Not understanding how to brand yourself and market your story, market your application in a compelling manner that bypasses AI and that speaks to the souls of adcoms, that human component. People, most pre-meds are still obsessing over GPA, obsessing over the MCAT. And I'm not saying those things are important, by the way. I'm not saying that you should disregard your MCAT and you disregard your GPA. I'm not saying that at all. You have to have a good enough GPA and MCAT. Notice I said good enough. I tell most of my applicants, and those of you that are here right now, you can say this. Like, I tell my applicants, I'm like, you got a 500? Great, we're in business. You got a 3.3? Great, we're in business. But Alejandro, how can you be so confident with those stats? Because I've developed a highly effective system. That's why most others out in the field, they're going to go after, they're going to have you requirements. That's why they're telling you have a 515, have a 389 GPA. Yeah, because they realize that they don't have the capacity, the ability to help coach you in an effective writing way that speaks to the souls of applicants, admissions committees. But I do. And that's not to brag or anything, but I just love what I do. And that's why we can lower the bar with my applicants on stats. That's why we don't need to worry about them. I'm not saying you shouldn't worry about it. If an applicant came to me today and they said, I have a 472 MCAT, Alejandro, I want to apply to medical school, I'd be like, dude, get your butt back in the classroom, study for the dang MCAT, and get a 500 MCAT. Okay? We're not operating out of delusion here. I want to be very clear on that. Your brand. Little regard to your brand. And that's something many of you haven't probably heard. Your brand. You are a walking brand. And being slow to adapt in the reality of AI, not understanding how to use it correctly and leverage it to your advantage. Here's where I disagree with AI hype. Little disagreement here. Most advisors and companies and all these other people out here will say, hey, this is a good thing for you. This means that you can throw your personal statement in GPT or whatever's, and you can take the AAMC core competencies. If you don't know what those are freely available on just Google search AAMC core competencies. It's a huge list. It's what medical schools, it's what the governing body of medical schools has told medical schools. This is what you should look for in an applicant. And it's this huge list. Okay. So most advisors will, no knock on advisors, by the way, but this is what most people will do. They'll tell pre-meds, hey, just make sure your personal statement and your working activities aligns with these core competencies. The problem with that is now that you're in the mindset of checking boxes, and checking boxes doesn't allow you to connect emotionally, right? And I put this here. I've read hundreds of essays that try to do everything, yet nothing. They try to do everything, yet say nothing. And you've read these things before where someone is, maybe your personal statement right now is like that, where you're looking at it and you're like, wow, I'm saying a lot of stuff, but because I'm on such a tight character count, I can only say very little about that thing. I can't elaborate it. I can't expand on it. I can't reflect on it. I'm just shotgunning my resume, right? So understand that point. So that's why I teach students to build around their mission, not force it with buzzwords. Because if you take your personal statement and you align with the core competencies and use GPT to do that for you, every other sentence is going to speak like literally like a resume line. And there's going to be no cohesion between either paragraphs. There's going to be no emotional spark. Maybe you're thinking this right now. But Alejandro, isn't AI biased if it's trained on past decisions? If you were keen enough right now and you were listening to what I was saying, those folks who are using AI in their primary screeners, they're modeling those AI systems off of past admissions. And so, yeah, it is biased off historical admissions. It is. No system is bias free. AI is absolutely biased. 100%. It is biased. Yes. Right. But here's the point. And this is the point that I want to drive home with you. It applies consistency. Consistency. That's the variable in all this. I don't want a robot deciding my future. I've heard that many times. You're thinking the wrong way. We just described it. This can work in your advantage if you understand what I'm saying. Reframe your mind. What if I'm rejected because I didn't use the right keywords? It's actually interesting because admissions committee members now are saying these systems that are building are very sophisticated. You don't need to use the buzzwords. The AI itself will actually detect what the underlying themes that the applicant is saying, and be able to package that and be able to say, this is what they're saying. This applicant demonstrates empathy, even though they didn't use the buzzword empathy. They're becoming very sophisticated. Okay, core point here. I want you to understand this. AI has not changed pre-meds. Hasn't changed you as a pre-med. AI has changed admissions committees. It has changed adcoms. It's changed the way that the process is working, as we discussed with this filtering. Adcom behavior is what changes your outcomes. Replace adcom behavior, just say human behavior. And human behavior is what changes your outcomes. And human behavior is what gets you accepted to medical school. Right? AI hasn't changed you. You're a pre-med. You are still doing the things you're passionate about. You're still doing things you're interested about. Your AI has not changed the passionate about. It hasn't changed your interests, your hobbies. It hasn't changed this. It hasn't changed your decision to go into medicine. I hope it hasn't. But it has changed adcoms. It's changed the way we are admitting medical students now. Is receiving 15,000 applications a year at some of these higher volume institutions. You best believe it's changing it. Right? You need to understand these things and keep up. AI is a tool, okay? Let's keep going here. All right, let's get to some good stuff. Okay. Here's what adcoms, human beings, are looking for. Okay, this is what again, AI has not changed you as a pre-med. It's changed the admissions process. It hasn't changed human beings. Okay? Human beings at the fundamental core want emotional resonance. We want to connect with one another. We want to know that person. We want to understand them. We want to feel something. Here's what this term dream crusher right here, it sounds like a bad term. It sounds like, what is that, Alejandro? I've actually taken this term and I've changed it, right? And a lot of my applicants that are in my program, they embody what a dream crusher is, and I'll explain that a little bit later. But it's a good thing. Trust me when I say it's a good thing, okay? Is that the dream crusher applicants in this program, they start their medical school application process and they get to this level of specificity. What is specificity? Specificity is their storytelling. They get very specific on the stories they want to share, the experiences they want to highlight in their medical school application. They're very good at that because we don't just write. I don't just tell people right from the soul, right from the heart. Yeah, capture people's emotions. What does that mean exactly? No, we use very specific mechanisms that allow applicants who don't have strong writing backgrounds to speak to the souls of admissions committees. Okay? This is not what this workshop is about today, but I'm just going to put that there. Then, because they're emotionally gripping through their storytelling, through their pathos, their storytelling, this is opening up for really strong reflective pieces. Again, reflectivity is a very strong tool in the age of AI. People want to see how you think and operate in the world around you, your perspectives, things that have shaped you. They want human, right? So based on the story you're telling, the reflection that comes from that is going to be deep. That's why we got to be specific and selective with the stories, with the pathos. We select a strong story, we get a strong reflection. We select a weak story, we're going to probably get a weak reflection. Applicants, dream crushers, they're exponentially increasing here. This reflection naturally ties into their mission, the community they wish to serve given their unique lived experiences, the community they're passionate about given how they were raised, what they experienced. They're a specialist in that field. That's how you can think about the mission. It's the value that they bring. No one else has this. I have this specific mission given my unique lived experiences. And from that mission comes humanity, authenticity. Adcoms can see right through it. This person's real. This person has grit. They're not faking it. Most premeds, whoopsies. Most premeds, it's the premed herd. Okay, there's like the vast majority of premeds out there. They start with their application. They get to specificity. They might be able to storytell, given kind of what they can find online through YouTube, through Instagram, through free resources, through free personal statements online. They can kind of get there. They can get there. Where they lack is the reflective piece, mainly because they're choosing the wrong story to begin with. So the reflective piece becomes weak. They don't know how to unpack, even if they choose the right story, they don't know how to unpack the layers. They don't know how to get to the center of the onion. They stay at the superficial level of the onion. And they say things like this in their reflective piece. They say things like, this is a classic line, classic. They'll be like, it was this moment that encouraged me to pursue more. I wanted to do more because I felt helpless in that moment. And this is why I want to become a doctor. It's some version of that, which is incredibly weak and superficial. The sad reality, there's 29 of you in here right now, 28 of you, including me. Some of you have that exact line in your personal statement right now. I could almost guarantee, I can almost put money on it, that a good chunk of you have that. And you're like sweating bullets right now because you're like, holy crap, he just called me out. It's okay. Like, I've been doing this for 5 years and I've read hundreds of personal statements. I know it. I know it to be true. But the applicant that can take that experience, they selected the right story, and they can peel that onion back the layers and get to the essence of what they took away. That is what creates soul talk. Speaking to someone else's soul. Making the reader of your personal statement feel like, dang, I feel seen. I feel heard. Something like that happened to me, and this person is reflecting that deeply. Wow, this person is very self-aware. Biggest green flag in medical school admissions. How self-aware of an applicant are you? How self-aware, scratch applicant. How self-aware of a human being are you? How self-aware of a human being are you? So, pre-med herd tapers off there. They plateau. They never get to these areas. These are like, this is where you become undeniable. Like in these areas right here. In an age of AI, people crave authenticity more than ever. Point blank. I don't know how else to say it. In the age of everything is fake, social media is fake. You don't even know what to tell is real anymore on videos, on reels. Everyone in the comment section is saying, is that real? I don't know. AI is getting crazy these days. People crave authenticity. People crave errors. People crave grit. The pendulum is kind of swinging right now. We go between AI and humanity. AI and humanity. The pendulum. We got so much AI at this point. The pendulum's swinging back this way to humanity. Why the About USA fails? I'm just going to quickly go over this like in the next 60 seconds. Practical skills here. This is going to help you out right now writing your personal statement. Is that most applicants center their personal statement on you, yourself. It's like, oh, well, yeah, Alejandro, it's a personal statement about me. Who else would it be about? It's not about you, right? And if you're in my program, you understand exactly what I'm talking about right now, right? You have to write in a way that is very selfless. Think about it. Who are you more attracted to? The person that is self-centered in a sense, that can't stop talking about themselves, or a person who is called to a higher calling? That's the best way I can say it. For someone else, for something else. It's not about them anymore. It's about a larger calling in life. That person is the person you're genuinely attracted to and interested in. They've achieved like this pinnacle of, wow, like they're walking with such confidence that on the biggest stage of their life at this point, writing a personal statement to medical school, career changing, life altering thing at this point in your life, you're electing not to make it about you. Are you crazy? What are you talking about, bro? You're sabotaging yourself, man. That is the worst thing you could possibly do. That's what you might be thinking. That's what other people might be telling you. But it's countercultural. The way we're writing our personal statement, the way I teach my applicants is countercultural. It's not about you. Yes, there are moments in the personal statement that highlight your upbringing, but overall, from a bird's eye view, the reader, your audience, can actually see that you have a higher calling in life. It's almost not even about getting into medical school. That's how strong some of these personal statements become. So applicants that are too focused on their childhood stories and their adversities, don't sit in the struggle. Don't sit in the wallow. I've read applications, especially from folks who come from underrepresented backgrounds in medicine, folks who come from like these more adverse circumstances, right? It's like they tend to sit in the struggle. And I get it. Folks that come from these backgrounds tend to have higher obstacles, higher adversities. Like I faced a ton of, like me speaking personally, I was the first person in my family to graduate high school. I was the first person in the family to go to college. I was the first person to go to medical school, right? Like I got kicked out of school. I come from a single parent household, not in the most affluent background, like a bunch of things, right? It's easy for me to cling to these adversities. It's easy for me to grab. Oh, trust me, I got no shortage of things that I could talk about. No shortage of them. But that's not what people want to read about. No one's going to get into medical school because they feel sorry for you. No one's going to get an interview invite because they feel sorry for you. Think about it. Has anybody ever accepted, if you've ever asked somebody on a date, have they ever said, "Yeah, I'll go on a date with you. I just feel in their head, I just feel so sorry for you, man. That's why I'm gonna say yes. I feel so sorry for you." No one does that. And we're not going to do that with our medical school personal statement or our medical school application either. We're not going to lead with pity. And then second thing is people do the resume remix. Again, just blasting all their accomplishments, jam-packing. I got to hit this competency. 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 It's like, no, you don't. Maybe you hit a couple core competencies, but that's not what you're focusing on from the get. You're focusing on your mission first. And through that, when you select these carefully selected stories and you reflect deeply, organically, these core competencies begin to populate. Organically, the screening process and the admission screening process, whoever's using these AI systems, it populates. This person's very empathetic. This person is very culturally resilient. This person is very blah blah. This person is very blah blah. Organically. Okay. And 3, it's overly polished and zero impact. That is just someone taking their personal statement, throwing it to GPT, and you can totally tell it's GPT. Quick raise of hands. Okay, just to make sure everyone's awake right now. Can folks, and you could just like do a little hand gesture or something like that, I don't know, whatever Google Meets allows. But how confident do you feel that when you read something that's GPT driven, that you can spot, you're like, that's ChatGPT. That's ChatGPT. Like I can, absolutely can. Like, yeah, I think a lot of people in here are saying yes. 100% yes. Right? So how would you, I can't even say my words right now. When you are using GPT to write your essays, I'm not saying you shouldn't. Admissions committees, when it's so blatant, and we're going to get into how not to make it blatant, when it's so blatant, admissions committees to medical schools also see that. If the most interesting character in your personal statement is you've missed the point. You've missed the point. It's exactly what I'm talking about, writing selflessly. Okay, when you write selflessly, people can see your higher calling in life. But if you're focused on you and trying to cram all your stats, your accomplishments, your level of nobility, right? What you did for the patient, The spotlight is secretly on you. People get crafty in their personal statements. They'll say things like, and they'll put their entire role in there. And they'll say, I went and grabbed the dinner plate for Mrs. Whoever's, and then I fed her, and then I made sure to get up her and walk her, and then I did. But they're doing it through the lens of this patient that has no name, has no pseudonym, doesn't really have a story. They're only talking about that patient so that they can bring the spotlight to them. I know it's a hard truth to grasp, to swallow, but just be real with yourself. Ask yourself if you're doing that. Desperation versus confidence. Really quick here. We're almost done. Desperation versus confidence. The desperate pre-med, that's how they're going to operate. They're going to operate in that lens. They're going to operate with attention-seeking behavior in the personal statement. What I did, versus the confident pre-med leads with their mission. Okay. The confident pre-med is essentially saying they're relying on mission alignment with the school. Mission alignment. That's what they're predicating their application on. They're essentially saying to medical schools, I am good with you, but I'm also good without you. I'm good with you, but I'm also good without you. Because I know myself, and I've created a very strong application for myself, and I've led with authenticity. Whereas the desperate pre-med is operating from the mindset of, what do I need to do to prove myself to adcoms? What do I do need to convince them? Oh, my mentor said I need to talk about this. Let me talk about this. My mentor said I should remove this, but that part is really important to me, but they said I need to remove it, so I guess I'm going to remove it. I'm going to listen to all the talk on social media. I'm going to gobble it up. I'm going to doom scroll Reddit. Let's do a mini exercise really quick, and then we'll get into the AI stuff. I promise. We're going to get into this right after this. We're going to get into the AI stuff to kind of give you some tangible, practical skills on how to navigate AI with your writing. But really quick, before we jump into that, I want to do a quick activity. Is that if you can put in the chat box, okay? We've talked about a mission a lot, right? These are what I call mission threads, okay? Something that can kind of help you select the right stories. Select the right stories that align with your mission so that you can align with medical schools, okay? So you can optimize your chances of getting into that medical school. Selecting the right medical school that you want to go to. So number one, what happened in this experience? Think about an experience, healthcare related, something in your, it doesn't even have healthcare related, something in your life that deeply impacted your journey. Something. In one or two sentences, what is that story? Like, what is that thing? What is that experience? Right? And put it in the chat box if you want. And I'll give someone an opportunity if they want to share with me. I can give them some real-time feedback on it on this call right now too. Second thing is, what did it teach you? Think about this experience in your head. What did it teach you? What is something that you walked away with? Was it a new perspective? Was it something that challenged a preconceived notion that you had? Get real. How have you moved differently since that moment? How have you moved differently since that moment? You think back to that and you're like, dang, that really that shook me. I look at things differently now. What was it? Let me see in this chat box really quick. As people are writing that out, because I want you to either write this out right now on a side notepad, or I want you to put in the chat box. Is anything coming to mind for somebody? Maybe they don't have all the answers to this, but I can help them right now that want to talk about it.
I have something.
Let's hear it. Anthony, is that you that just spoke?
Yes, it is. Yes.
Okay. Hey, Anthony.
Hi. I would say this past year has definitely been a hard one for me because I tore my ACL, so that was like my first major injury. And then I was essentially getting surgery in August, but I tore it back in April. And then actually after I got the MRI to see what actually was going on with my knee before I knew it was ACL tear, I also was in a car accident. I ended up being fine, but I think the mixture of that essentially close call plus finding out I was going to have surgery, or my first actual surgery, I think it just made me much more grateful for life and also the opportunity to regain my mobility. And it was also my first time really being a patient outside of just general, pediatrician, PCP, wellness checks, but actually receiving surgery in the hospital just changed my perspective completely, and has made me a lot more thoughtful, intentional about how I interact with patients because I also work in a hospital. Um, just to like really make people feel comfortable because I really appreciated the way like some of the anesthesiology residents made me feel comfortable versus the way some other doctors weren't as personable with me. So just realizing which kind of physician I want to be in those interactions as I was a patient.
Wow. Okay. Thank you for sharing, Anthony. And just from what you've kind of shared with me right there, it's like, you were injured and in a car accident. It sounds like those two separate things, or was that one thing?
They were separate, but they were very close to each other.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like, that's wild, right? And so when I hear those things, I'm like, oh man, that's like really good. That's kind of really good material for stories for your personal statement, right? And especially like some of the mechanisms that we can use with writing a compelling story, the pathos portion. But what's really important is like that part that it taught you, those things that it taught you. And I know it sounds like you have kind of reflected on this already. And I encourage you don't need to share it here, but like I encourage you to think about what was it? Like tease that out even further. Like the what did it teach you part. You were saying like, oh, the doctors weren't as personable, right? Or, it taught me I was a patient. Like I'm wondering like what your experience as a patient were like and what kind of cracks in the system you saw, right? And to take that one step further, I encourage you to think about if you were in a resourced area, Anthony, like if you were in a place where like, you know what, like I was pretty good insurance, or went to a pretty good hospital, take that to the next level and say, what if I didn't have that resourced hospital? What if I didn't live in that very affluent area? What then? Because that is actually a very real experience and lived reality for a lot of people out there, right? And so that's where you kind of go beyond yourself and you start saying, hey, even though I just shared a story about me, it's actually not about me. And so you start using your platform as an opportunity to speak for folks who do not have your position right now, right? Because in a weird sense, and all of us here right now, all 30 of us, including me here right now, we have privilege. I know some of you are like almost spit out your drink right now. And you're saying, oh, Andrew, I don't have privilege. What are you talking about? No, we kind of do. We all have privilege. We're all going to apply to medical school and become physicians and be essentially in the upper echelon of society as doctors. How can we use this platform, this very sacred text that we're gonna be writing, sacred text, and not make it about us, but use it as a platform to voice the voices of folks who aren't in our position, right? That is the selfless writing that we're going after, right? And so, Anthony, thank you for sharing that, man. That's really, really powerful. It sounds like it's a really powerful experience and story. Okay. I think, let me see if there's anything in the chat box real quick. I think I saw something. Yeah, so I think Alberto was saying my great grandma had a hypoglycemic episode when I was a child. She would not wake up. It taught me that there are a lot of instances in life where we are helpless. It also taught me that there is so much more to learn in life. Since then, I've made healthcare my mission. Sounds cheesy, and it didn't happen that direct, but that's what sparked my interest in medicine. Yeah, and honestly, I know this is like just a short little exercise, Alberto, but that's really good right there, right? Like you're able to talk about your great grandmother, right? And essentially, when you talk about a family member, you're able to, it opens up the door for you to speak about your cultural roots just naturally because that person's your family, right? And so, because I know you personally and you're in the program, I know your story. But yeah, so like you speaking about your great grandmother opens the door for you to talk about your cultural roots. And then again, same as before, it's like, but it's not, we move past your great grandmother, we move past you, and we actually start saying to ourselves, who does our great grandmother actually embody? What patient population do they represent? That's moving beyond you. So really good stuff. And then Chris says, I was translating for a patient who was the durable power of attorney for mom who had very severe stomach cancer. As I was translating, he said, "I don't want to kill my mom. The power and stress of feeling isolated in a situation when it feels that you are all alone. Addressing patients from a holistic viewpoint and seeing them not as just their physical or financial status, but as a genuine human being and meeting them at the level of understanding." Yep. Really, that sounds like a really powerful story, Chris, right there. Being in that position, the durable power of attorney, and you're essentially you're operating from the area of death, right? And that's death. It's one of those things it's uncomfortable for us to think of, but we're all moving in the field where this is what we're going to face. As physicians, we're going to be encountering this. When you get to medical school and the ICU rotations, many of you are going to be encountering this, and it's really sad to see. But usually within death stories about folks who are passing away, there's so much soul talk that is there to be had. So much soul talk. And I'm just thinking of personal statements that I've edited in the past, that I've worked with applicants in the past, where they're still like stained in my mind about some of these stories. And that's what soul talk does. When you get to that place where you're speaking to someone else, your audience, they remember you deeply for that. And they say, that is a deep person. That is this person they have a level of growth and self-awareness. Okay, good stuff. Okay. How AI shows up in writing. Here's what you got to really pay attention to, okay? AI shows up pretty easily. It goes into overly poetic language, especially if you're using GPT. GPT loves to use just overly poetic language. And the sad thing is, when applicants are writing their personal statements, they see it and they're like, whoa, I'm cooking with this. This is so amazing. Wow, they're going to be floored when they see this. They're going to be floored because they're going to see how overt and obvious you use GPT. Okay. We have to write within our means, right? Writing within our means that we are not Edgar Allan Poe. We are not some famous author, right? That's not who we are. And we probably don't have writing. We probably don't have writing capacity like that. We're a pre-medical student. Maybe a very small portion of you are writing majors, English majors, and you do have some experience in writing, right? Maybe that might be true, but the vast majority of us don't. Okay, so overly poetic language easily gets us called out. Second thing, specific verbiage, the quiet strength. Look in your writing right now. If anywhere in your writing you're using quiet, the word quiet, the way it's not supposed to be used, that's AI. That's AI verbiage, bam. And it's not that adcoms are going to be like, bad pre-med, don't ever do that. They're not going to do that, right? The person reading it, because they know what GPT writing looks like, because they know what AI writing looks like, just like you and I do, because you all said that, they're going to say, oh, this is kind of stained with AI. And then it's pretty obvious, right? It cheapens their experience. Yes, adcoms know that most of us are using AI, but don't be so obvious and overt with it, is what I'm saying, right? Reliance on the M-dash. It's that little dash, right? It's like a hanging dash, sometimes people call it. GPT, AI loves this. I used to love using the M-dash in my own writing. I stopped using it. In fact, I'm probably 40% the way through a book that I'm writing right now. And I have to go back and retroactively erase a lot of these M-dashes that I used a year and a half ago, because I don't want people to think that my book is just littered with AI, right? So get the dash out of there completely. Writing beyond the means of the typical applicant. I kind of already talked about this, but if you are writing with overt poetry and symbolism, really abstract symbolism, yeah, you're probably using AI, right? And then last thing, because we're talking about mission-led writing, a lot of applicants will hear me today and they'll be like, oh, I know what I got to do then, Alejandro. I got to lead with my mission. Got it. The communities I want to serve, my values, my beliefs, right? All the blah, 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 blah. Their personal statement now becomes a public health personal statement. Their personal statement now becomes a public health personal statement. And so admissions committees are looking at your personal statement and they're saying, do you want to become a public health officer or something? Do you want to become a social worker? Are you sure you want to become a physician? Are you positive? Because this reads like someone who wants to go into health policy. You're talking about equity so much and you're reflecting on it so much. this doesn't sound like you want to be a physician. Yes, health equity and health policy, all those things are interwoven with becoming a physician, but that's not what you should be conveying concentrate in a concentrated form in your personal statement. Yeah, and I love my M dashes too. I do too. Rest in peace. Okay, where AI helps versus it hurts. Okay, so pay attention here. It helps us in brainstorming. So your GPT, whatever you're using, you should be throwing in your personal statement to it. You should be literally speaking into it. With my GPT, like knows me at this point, and I just literally, I don't want to type, so I just speak into it. I say, my GPT name is Sage. So I say, Sage, I give it a name. I say, Sage, this is what I'm thinking today. These are some of my thoughts. These are some of my beliefs. These are some things that I'm just overall thinking. What are your thoughts on this? And I'll literally just have dialogue, right? So Sage helps me brainstorm and construct and formulate some of my ideas, especially when I'm doing talks, right? I gave a talk not too recently at a university, and I had to they hit me up very late notice, and so I had to put together a talk fast, like within 2 days. And so I just like brain dumped into the microphone all this stuff, and I knew what I kind of wanted to talk about, but then Sage helped me categorize my talk. So the structure, again, instead of one quick thing, when you're writing your personal statement, this is what I tell a lot of my applicants, is that usability is your number one friend. Usability. The reason why Apple and the reason why Amazon are so successful, what they do, is because it's so dang easy to use their products. It is so dang easy for me to use an iPhone. So easy. Like, that's why I'm like, anybody got an Android, I'm like, dang, man, you are smart. My brain don't work like that, right? Like, but for an iPhone, it's easy. I can do anything. My mom knows how to use, my grandma knows how to use an iPhone. Amazon, I could order something right now. It might be here tomorrow morning at 5 o'clock in the morning. It's just click, click, boom. Usability. That's why they're so successful. Your personal statement, the more user-friendly it is, the more reader-friendly it is, the better it is. The easier it is for admissions committees, your audience, to track with your line of thought. Okay? But the more symbolic you become, the more overly poetic you become, your personal statement is now like this puzzle that everyone is confused about. They're so confused. They have no idea what's going on. Trash. AI helps you with prompts, right? Like prompting you with ideas, prompting you with stories. Hey, Sage, I'm putting together this talk, and I want the talk to be on passion, right? What's someone following your passion, right? I remember, I'm just going to brain dump right now. AI or Sage, I have this passion for X, Y, and Z, right? I have this story for this, right? So use it for prompts, okay? All these things right here in this helps column is going to allow you to have soul writing. This is going to allow you to speak to the souls. Where it hurts us is we write from scratch, where you're literally saying, hey, can you write me a personal statement? Hey, here's a couple things here. Here's my resume. Can you turn this into a personal statement? And I'll go from there. That's a horrible place to start, right? Where it hurts us is the reflection. Now, I put an asterisk next to our reflection because sometimes if you feed AI the correct story and your correct brainstorming and your prompt, whatever you're doing, if you're feeding AI the correct things and you're trying to say, hey, AI, here's the story. Here's some meaning that I pulled from it. It's hard for me to articulate. I read this book recently and I feel like it aligns with that. And here's what the book said. Can you help me construct a reflective piece, something deep? Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I think this is what you're trying to say, Alejandro. Oh my gosh, that is what I'm trying to say. Let me remove the M dashes. Let me remove the quiet presence. Let me remove all this stuff. Let me humanize this. Let me kind of clean it up, right? And make it my own, tailor it to myself even more, right? So the reflections can be good, but not if you don't feed the AI correctly, right? And your tone. The tone is a big thing. So AI, the tone and syntax is really what it is. I should have put syntax there. AI likes to use very specific syntax. It'll say something like, not meaning this, but instead this. It'll do stuff like that, okay? Not this, not X, but it made me realize why. So like the syntax in AI is very predictable. You can spot it fairly easily, okay? All of this leads you to sterile writing, not soul writing, Sterile writing. Just leaving folks off with this really is it's not what you say, it's how you make someone feel. If there's nothing else that you're taking from this workshop today, I want you to remember that. It's not what you say, it's how you make someone feel. You can have an amazing story, but if you cannot convey it in the correct manner, if you can't deliver it and you can't package it into a compelling manner, it don't matter because you didn't make the audience feel a certain way. Okay. Dream crusher identity. I told you guys I was going to talk about like what that meant. A lot of my applicants embody this. It's not something bad. It's actually something good. It's the applicant who's serious about what they want to do. They know they want to do this. They know they want to become a physician. That's their goal, right? They're coachable. There's someone who I can say, hey, this is what I think. This is my feedback on your personal statement. This is my feedback on your interview response. This is my feedback on your secondary prompt. This is what I think you should do. What do you think about that? They're not going to get defensive. They're not going to say, Alejandro, you suck. You don't know what you're talking about. Let me go to my mentor over here. And they said this. Or another applicant who takes my word, who takes my advice, and then goes to somebody else and says, yeah, Alejandro, I heard you, but I'm going to go this way anyways. Right? I'm not saying people need to follow every direct thing that I say, but someone who's constantly putting up walls, to me, that's hard to work with. I want someone who's coachable, that I can interact with. It's a two-way street. Someone who's mission-driven, who understands why they're going into this field. Right? They have an idea. They have an identity of why. It's not just to appease other people, their family members. It's not just to get social status in life. It's beyond that. They're willing to stand out, right? Because again, my tactics that I teach applicants is it's unconventional. It's very anybody that's in this space right now, that some of you that are in my program right now, they can probably attest to that. It's unconventional, but the kind of identities that we take on and how we approach the medical school admissions process. This is kind of how I'm supporting applicants in 2026. All right. So just a preview really quick is kind of cool, is that we are doing, now I'm leveraging AI in terms of custom GPTs for my applicants. So my applicants already have one. It's called interview weaponization. And it's basically my brain and my mind in a GPT they can access 24/7, right? And it brings them through MMIs, it brings them through traditional interviews, all this stuff. It gives them really good feedback, all this stuff. So I have more of that coming along the way for 2026 in terms of essay support, in terms of all kinds of things. And then there's Alejandro Bot, which I'm creating right now. Basically, my brain tailored to my applicants. And this is very personalized coaching through AI. I'm actually really excited about it, is that an applicant can interact with me, the bot, in my mind, and essentially get a very personal and tailored response to them. So essentially, ideally, no two answers are going to be the same between applicants in my program. That's how personal it's going to be. And then I have the personalization component, which is we have adaptive game plans that every single one of my applicants in Market the Mission has. It's a very tailored game plan. And it's a roadmap. It's really cool. We do advisory sessions one-on-one. So they get that personalization. They actually speak to me, not just Alejandro Bot or not just some video recording of me. And then there's that humanity component, right? Because AI, we have the pendulum. AI is over here. Humanism's over here. We're swinging over here to humanity right now, right? But I am someone who is of both. I want to leverage AI. I want to leverage humanity, right? And so I use a model called lens coaching, right? So it's basically, it's not just my teaching solutions, it's my thinking. So the best example I have of this is, I don't know if he's in here or not. There's a couple applicants that I have. I'm just going to say your name. Lucas, if you're in here, if you're not, sorry for shouting you out, but Lucas he's in my program. I'm so proud of Lucas that one of our skills lab sessions, we have skills lab every single week, every Tuesday at this time. And we were editing one of his essays. And he said, Alejandro, I knew you were thinking that, and that's why I put it right there. That's why I put that line right there, because I knew that's what you were thinking. And that's when it clicked for me. I was like, wow, I'm not actually just teaching people solutions. I'm not just giving them solutions. My applicants are actually understanding my frame of mind now. They're actually learning the way I think, which is really, really cool. And this last piece here is collective evolution. This is not just, my program is not just building a medical school application. That's not what we're doing, okay? Yes, we're going to get you into medical school, but we're leveling you up in life. Honestly, that is my goal for my applicants, is that they gain new perspectives, they grow as a person, they grow just in a positive direction. Yeah, as a byproduct of all this, they're going to get a med school. Sure, yes. But that's really not what this program is about at its core. It's about leveling you up as a human being and just making you a more observant, just a more empathetic, kind, open-hearted, more just perspectives in general. And I know that applicants in my program can attest to that. All right. So that's what's in store for 2026, and I'm super excited for it. Here's just a couple more slides and we're done. We're going to pop this open to Q&A. Here's the secret. Most pre-meds haven't evolved yet, but adcoms have, right? But the good news for you is that whoever does evolve first, you're going to be the one dominating 2026. And I genuinely want that to be all of you watching this recording, watching this workshop right now, is that yes, we're going into a time of AI, and we know that adcoms have already been using AI. They're already leveraging it, right? But pre-meds are behind. And whoever evolves first, that's probably going to be the person who dominates. Success loves speed. Let me repeat that. Success loves speed. If you understand what's going and the trajectory that we're on, you're in the know. If you're someone who is salty, crusty, and you don't want to do all this AI stuff, quote unquote, then guess what? Then you're left with your head in the sand. I don't know how else to put it, right? So I say that because I want you guys to be evolved, right? Regardless if you work with me or not. Here's my hard sell to you right now. This is my complete hard sell. If you want to dip out, that's cool. This is going to be my hard sell in the next 60 seconds. Questions and answers right after this. Market the mission. Enrollment opens on January 19th. I'm super excited for it. I'm taking on 5 people total. If you want more information on it, message me for details. That's pretty much it. So that was my hard sell. Cool. That was a little bit over an hour, 9 minutes over, almost did it. Questions and answers. I think I marketed this workshop for an hour and a half, so I think we're cool. Questions and answers, I'm more than happy to take them. Does anybody have any questions about anything that we talked about so far? It can literally be about anything. Now is the time, or forever hold your peace. Please jump on.
Can you hear me, Alejandro?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I was just, since nobody's asking anything, I just wanted to brainstorm a little bit of for the personal statement. I'm having a hard time like getting some writer's block. I know my first paragraph, like the how this all came about. What I shared in the chat, actually, that's my first paragraph. But then the paragraphs after that, I just, I have stories, but I'm having a hard time connecting them.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's see, Alberto. So you put your did you put your thing in the, you said you put it in the.
Yeah, it was about my great grandma.
Oh, I see. Okay, that was it. Okay. So your question is like you're having trouble connecting that paragraph to the second paragraph. Is that what you're saying?
I'm just yeah, I guess like kind of creating my mission still. Like I have the idea. I think I should input this into chat like you did, just verbally, and see what it spits out at me. But yeah, I'm just like, I have the stories and I have like the idea of what my mission should be. I'm just having a hard time like connecting the stories because like they're just very different situations.
Let me ask you, what do you feel like, and you don't need to articulate it perfectly, Alberto, but like, where do you feel like your mission is kind of like, and again, that mission piece is essentially the community that you have a passion to serve, given your kind of unique lived experiences. It's kind of that umbrella term, right?
Yeah.
With that said, like, where do you feel like your mission is kind of pulling you towards?
I mean, naturally, because of my culture, I would say Spanish speaking. I mean, specifically Mexican,
Yeah. So right there. Okay. So right there, I think you're using a great story in terms of your great grandmother, your cultural roots, right? And your Latino identity. And that's going to be essentially your mission, is like helping folks from not even just,
I don't think it even has to be just Spanish speaking.
Exactly. And that's exactly where I was going with it. It doesn't need to be just Spanish speaking. you can share your cultural roots through your grandmother's story, right? But your mission can naturally adopt, because we go beyond your grandmother, because we go beyond you. You can actually start morphing this into, well, what about folks who don't speak English in general? What about folks who come from immigrant backgrounds? What about, they might not be Latino, right? They might be from the Middle East. They might be from Russia. They might be from like wherever. Like, what about them? Right? And so your mission kind of encapsulates this huge, this not just Latinos, but like folks who are on the margins, folks who are vulnerable. Right? And so that
Sorry, my
allows you to
grandpa's in
open
the
up.
background.
Oh yeah, that allows you. No, I don't hear anything. But that allows you to essentially opens up your story bank, so that in paragraph 2, maybe you talk about someone who's from another country. Maybe they're not Latino. Right? So it doesn't need to like perfectly plug in, right? Each paragraph doesn't need to perfectly plug in, right?
Okay. Yeah, no, I think it not having to be Spanish speaking really does help. So hopefully I can build off that.
Now, what I will say, people are hearing me right now, and they're like, okay, Alejandro, I hear what you're saying. So I can use someone else that speaks another language. Listen to me very carefully. Alberto, you're working with me right now, so I will be in advisory sessions going through your personal statement and actually screen sharing and things like that later on. But for the person that's not in this program, I do not want you to hear me and say, oh yeah, let me go with that person who speaks Farsi, and I didn't understand a word they said. Usually those interactions, be careful with those, because what happens is with a lot of writing and personal statements and activity statements and secondary statements, any writing in general, is that you are admitting to admissions committees and medical schools that you were unable to talk to that person, period. Like there was a huge language barrier because maybe you didn't speak Farsi. You weren't able to actually communicate with them at all. And so maybe you had to use an interpreter, an iPad or something like that. But that's not really allowing you to understand their story and their specific circumstances. There's a massive language barrier there. And so now you are forced to focus on their medical condition. Also a huge trap in writing your personal statement. Now you are dehumanizing this person, not by a malicious intent, but just as a byproduct of the story you decided to choose. Because the person you're writing about couldn't talk to you. That's why early on in this workshop, I said, you have to select the correct stories, the right ones. So I encourage all of you, yeah, you should probably speak about a person that you could actually communicate with. Those are some of the worst personal statement stories. It's like, oh yeah, this person spoke Vietnamese, and unfortunately I couldn't speak Vietnamese, or I spoke 3 words in Vietnamese. Like, okay, well then you didn't get to know them. You didn't magically have this interaction with them that they were able to kind of highlight nuances in their journey to you that wasn't able to be had. So now you're forced to look at them from a medical lens, and that dehumanizes them inadvertently. So hopefully you guys heard what I just said right there. That went over the head of someone's head in here. Re-listen to that. I don't want people to fall into that trap. All right, maybe we'll take a couple more questions and then we'll close it up here. Any other questions? Farsi jump scare because I speak it and come from Farsi speaking family. That's awesome. Love that. Are skills labs usually on a specific topic? Do you ever have open sessions where people come with their writing or questions? Yeah, Sheila. So skills lab, they're basically, the way I design it is that sometimes there's going to be a topic at hand that we're going to discuss. So I'm actually creating a calendar right now for 2026 where I will share with applicants and I'll say, hey, on this date, we're going to talk about Casper preview and how to crush your SJT. On this date, I'm actually bringing in an applicant who had 20 interview invites, and I'm going to interview them, and you guys are going to collect a bunch of knowledge and so that you can level yourself up. On this date, we're going to solely focus on how to write an effective story, your pathos portion, not your logos portion, but your pathos portion. And we're going to work through that. So there will be designated workshops that we're going to run, but I'll give a calendar for that. But most other skills labs will be dedicated to just, you bring your personal statement edits, you bring your activity statements, you bring whatever, you bring your questions, and we go over those so we learn collectively as a community. So good question. All right. Any other questions, comments, concerns, insults? All right. Okay. We'll leave it at that. I love how you guys all came. Seriously, I'm so excited. I hope you guys all had a great time. Listen, I'm going to send this recording tomorrow. And again, if you want to join my program, Market the Mission, IG DM me and see if you're a good fit. I want you to join a program that's a good fit for you. I don't want you to join my program if it's not a good fit for you. Straight up. Like, I'm expecting, I think last enrollment period, there was 120 something individuals in trying to join the program. I only took on 5, right? Some of the 120 individuals, it just wasn't a good fit, right? And they're not a good fit for me, and I'm not a good fit for them. So reach out to me. I want to see if you want to join. Other than that, I wish you all the best in 2026 if I never see or hear from you again. And I'm excited for every single one of you and coming here, and I'm proud of you, and I hope you leveled up. Okay. All right, everybody. Goodbye, folks. Goodbye. See you later. Bye-bye.